Okay, now it's time for one of my favorite subjects, array methods. It's something I use a lot when coding myself, and it's something I like to explain, so let's get right through it. JavaScript provides us with some methods that exist on arrays, and today we're going to talk about 4 of them, for each: filter, map, reduce, and maybe I'll actually also add some extra. One of them is called sum and the other one is called every. So actually we're going to talk about 6 array methods. Okay, let's go. First, for each. For each executes a callback, not an asynchronous callback, but a callback on every item in your array. And it returns undefined. So it does not return anything actually. Let me close the door here. Doesn't return anything. So let's say we have an array of planets, and it is Earth, and Venus, and Mars. Well, let's put that in the right order. Of course, Venus is before Earth because it's closer to the sun. Okay, so we have some planets, and now we are really excited about those planets, so we want to console log their names. So we can do for each, and then we have to pass this a callback. So we create a function, and that function gets one by one each of the items that you pass it. So if we give it now, so we can call that a planet. So each item in this list of planets is a planet. So we can call this parameter planet. And then inside the function, we can do something with the planet. Well, I want to console log the planet because I just want to see it. So nice. Let's execute this using Roca. Let's close this. So now we see that we are logging all of those planets one by one. So what JavaScript is actually doing on the background is it takes that array and it first calls this function with the first item, which is Venus, and then it logs Venus. And then it calls this function with the second item, that is Earth, and it logs Earth. Then it calls the function with the third item, Mars, and then it logs Mars. And actually it returns nothing, so you see what's return value is here, and then we console log the return value. It is undefined. So here's how it returns undefined. Okay, so that's for each. And we have filter. Well, what does filter do? Filter executes callback on every item in the array. So that's the same as. And it returns a boolean. And that boolean, oh well, that's not true. It executes a callback on every item in your array. That callback returns a boolean, and the filter method returns a new array. So it's not clear. So the filter method returns a new array containing all the items for which that boolean is true. So the callback returns a boolean, and for every item for which that boolean is true, that item will be included in the array. So let's see if we can create a nice example. I will just create planets again. But this time the planets are not simply strings, they are objects. So they have a name. So we have again Venus, and then we have Earth, and then we have Mars. And the planets also have a property called has life. And for as far as we know, Venus does not have life. Earth very much has life. We're looking at one example of it. So this one is true. And then Mars. Up until now, we don't know that Mars is life. Pretty sure it does not have life at this moment. Maybe it has had life in the past. Very exciting thing that is. So let's fix all these annoying, fix all pretty problems. Okay. But, oh, it's planets again. Let's call this planet objects. So now we have planet objects. Like that. Ah, it's never used. Well, we'll fix that now. We'll call planet objects. We'll use it, and we will use the filter method on it. And now we want it to return only the planets that contain life. So we pass a callback to the filter method. And again, this one will get our planet. Planet object as well. And now this callback has to return a boolean. And if that boolean is true, I'll just do results here, filter results, filter planets, I'll call it, filter planets, and we will log out the result there, filtered planets. Okay, so we now get an empty array because this function now returns undefined, and undefined will be evaluated as false. So it does not include any of the planets in the result. So if I do return true, now actually the filtered planets has all the planets again, because yes, we return true always, and if we return false, then it will not include any of them. Well, now we want to actually do something useful here, so we want to filter on if it has life or not. So we can say planet object dot has life, and now it will return only Earth here. And let's say we have another property where we say it says has water. Venus does not have water. Earth definitely has water. And Mars also has water. So now we can say if we filter by has water, now we can see we have both Earth and Mars as the result. So that's great. But I think actually this is a bit too much information we get here. I actually want to get only the name of these objects. So I think we can use map for that. So map, also, well, this we can copy, execute the callback on every item in your array. And that callback returns a modified version or a new value based on the item. So this is a new line. And the map method returns a new array containing all the modified new items. So if we get our planets, we have our planets already here. So I'll just now filter this or comment this out. So we have our planet objects, and then we do map, and now we only want to get the name again from those objects. So we get the planet function planet, get this passed, this parameter, and then we say return planet.name. And if we now do post names across this, and then we do console with our planet names, you can see we only get the name. But the nice thing is, let's say we want to get the names of all the planets that have water. So I can enable this again, and I can say, instead of this one, I can say filter planets of map. And then we get only those. Because we can also do, well, no, I will explain that, I will show that later. I'll show some other nice trick later. So let's go and move on to reduce. Well, reduce is another nice array method. Also executes a callback on every item in your array, and that callback returns a value, and also that gets passed to the next iteration, and the reduce method returns a single value. This might be a little bit cryptic, but I will show you in an example. Let's say our planets also have, what do we say? We can say they have a year duration. Well, no, I will make a different example because planets are a bit too complex for now. Let's just use a new example of, well, we can go back to our groceries. So we have groceries, and there it's also an array of objects, and they have a name. So let's say apples, and they have a price, say 3, and they have a quantity 2. Well, this is an expensive apple, so we have one apple costs €1. We have 2 apples, and then we have bread, bread, and then we have prices 2, also 1. We have cheese, 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 price is €10 for 1 kilogram, and we say we have quantity, we have half a kilogram of cheese. So here we have groceries. Let's say we want to calculate the total price of these groceries. Well, we can use reduce for that. So const total price equals groceries dot reduce, and this one gets this callback. It's at least 2 things. First is the current total price, So we call that the accumulator. I will just call it total here, and the current grocery item. And we pass, to reduce, you pass also a starting initial value. So what will happen now? The reduce method will call our callback with the first time around with 0 and our grocery item. So what we want to do is we want to return the total plus the price of the grocery item times the quantity of the grocery item. Now we can see that total, the first time it is called with 0, the second time it is called with 2, because 2 times 1 is 2. Let's make this price a little bit more interesting. Let's make it 3. Okay, so now we have 2, then the second time it gets called with 5, because this 3 plus 2 is 5, and then the last time we can't see, but if we now log the total price, you can see that the total price is 10. So it's 2 times 1 is 2, 3 times 1 is 3, so 2 plus 3 is 5, and 10 times a half is 5, so 5 plus 5 is 10. So this added up all the prices of our groceries, and so the first time this gets called, it passes a 0 in as this total and the grocery item, so then we do total is 0 plus grocery item price times quantity is 2, and then it calls this function again with total is 2 and the next grocery item, and then it calls it again with the result of that call and then with that grocery item. So then we get a total price of 10. Well, there's a lot of other interesting things you can do with reduce. We don't have time for that right now. I promised you two extras, which I find really useful, and they are called sum and every. So let's say you have our list of planets, and you want to know if any of them contains life. Let's say we want to know if the solar system contains life. Let's ignore the other planets in the solar system. We just look at these three. You could write a loop and then look at every planet and see if if any of them is true, and then you set this to true. But the nice thing about sum is that it will stop as soon as it finds some function that matches. So let's say sum, that is also called with every item, like I wrote 10 times before. Your callback returns a Boolean value, and the method returns true as soon as the callback turns true for an item. Otherwise, if no item turns true, it returns false. So here, if we want to know if our solar system contains life, we get planet objects. Well, then the planet gets passed in here as well again, and then we say planet return planet object dot has life, and now we can see that console.log system contains life. True. So our solar system contains life. That's very nice. And if I would, and we can see, if we do console.planet object here, we can see that it stopped after Earth. It never executes for Mars, because it already knows that this is true for Earth. So if we remove that, if we lie a little bit and say life also doesn't have Earth also does not have life, then we see it executes all three of them. See, we see them all here, and actually this one will be false now. So Earth has life, it's true. Then we have every, which is a bit of the inverse of some. Returns true if the callback returns true for all items. And if the callback for any item returns false, returns false. Actually, as soon as. So if we do every, and then we do solar, all planets have water. Now we want to know if all planets have water, right? Then we say every planet object has water, which in our case will be false, because it already stops after Venus, because Venus does not have water, so it says false. And if we now lie and say Venus does have water, true, then we see that it executes for all of the planets and it returns true. So here this callback takes a planet object, it is executed for all the items unless or until one of them returns false. And if all of them return true, then the result is also true. So let's not lie. And so that's my explanation of array methods. I hope you liked it.